The Vatican has always been a place shrouded in mystery, but now, something much bigger is happening. The health of Pope Francis has become one of the most talked about topics inside and outside the Church, raising suspicions about the future of his papacy. At 87 years old, he faces increasingly evident physical challenges, and the signs of fragility can no longer be ignored. What few realize is that, beyond his health condition, there is something much deeper happening behind the scenes. Restricted information, decisions being made behind closed doors, and a possible event that could change the course of the Catholic Church forever. Are we facing one of the most critical moments for the Vatican in centuries? Before we begin, I need to ask you a question. And if I told you that something is happening behind the scenes at the Vatican, something that could change the course of the Catholic Church forever? And if ancient prophecies had already predicted this moment? The health of Pope Francis has been the subject of intense speculation, but what few know is that this may be directly linked to a prophetic event of unimaginable proportions. What is being kept secret? Why are so many signs aligning now? And more importantly, what could happen in the coming months? If you want to understand the truth behind this mystery and how it might affect the future of the world, then you need to watch this video until the end. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because we are just beginning to uncover these hidden secrets. What is to come may surprise even the most skeptical. Since he assumed the papacy, Francis has become known as a charismatic leader, willing to challenge traditions and make room for changes within the Church. But in recent months, his public presence has become increasingly limited. Walking with difficulty, relying on a walker, and often appearing exhausted, he has become the physical representation of a papacy that may be reaching its limits. But what is really happening? Are we about to witness something historic? The Vatican maintains a controlled discourse, claiming that Francis remains steadfast in his mission. However, there are indications that the reality may be very different. Some sources suggest that secret meetings are already being held to discuss the future leadership of the Church. There are also those who claim that the Pope has been contemplating a possible resignation, something that has happened only once in the last 600 years, when Benedict XVI left office in 2013. But why would this situation be so different? Because there is something more, something that is being carefully kept away from the public eye. And if the ancient prophecies that speak about the papal succession are correct, would we be approaching a period of great transformations within the Catholic Church? The next few months could be decisive. While Francisco appears to be increasingly weakened, the question that remains unanswered is, what will be the next step of the Vatican? The world may be on the verge of witnessing a crucial moment in the history of the Christian faith, and those who are attentive to the signs will know that much more is happening than what is being revealed. If Pope Francis's health continues to deteriorate, the Church will have to deal with a delicate and unprecedented issue. Recent history shows us that papal resignations are extremely rare, but not impossible. In 2013, Benedict XVI surprised the world by leaving office, citing his inability to continue leading due to his frailty. Now, rumors about a possible similar decision by Francis are starting to gain strength. However, this possibility raises several questions. Would it be a purely personal decision, based solely on his health? Or would there be internal pressures within the Vatican leading this transition? Leaders of the Roman Curia would already be meeting to discuss the future of the Church, and perhaps even more importantly, who could succeed him. Different factions within the Church already show distinct interests regarding which path the next pontiff should follow. Some desire a continuation of Francis' reforms, while others advocate for a return to the institution's stricter traditions. This internal conflict could become even more intense if a succession occurs unexpectedly. Moreover, there is another layer even more intriguing behind this entire situation. Some prophecy scholars believe that this possible change in leadership may be connected to predictions made centuries ago. The prophecy of Saint Malachi, for example, suggests that the current pope maybe one of the last before events of great impact in the history of the Church. Would we be about to witness a prophetic transformation within the Vatican? The coming months will be crucial. At every public appearance of Francis, observers around the world analyze every detail, every gesture, and every statement. The Vatican maintains a cautious stance, disclosing only the essentials about his health, but the visible evidence speaks for itself. If a transition is truly approaching, it will not just be an administrative event within the Church. It will be a moment that could redefine the course of the Catholic faith, influencing millions of believers around the world. It remains to be seen if we will be ready for what is to come. If the prophecy is correct, what will happen after Francis? Are we really approaching the last pope in the history of the Church? The prophecy of Saint Malachi mentions a final leader who would govern amidst a great crisis, a period of persecutions and tribulations that would shake the Catholic Church like never before. The successor to Francis, according to these predictions, would not only have the responsibility of leading the Catholic faith, but also of facing times of enormous turbulence. Is the Vatican already preparing for this transition? Internal sources claim that there is an unsettling silence within the Roman Curia, where discussions about a possible succession are occurring in secret. If Francis decides to resign, or is incapacitated by his health, a new pope will need to be chosen. But who would that figure be, and how would he deal with the challenges ahead? Besides internal pressures, the world around the Church is changing rapidly. Global conflicts, economic instability, the rise of new ideologies, and the increasing secularization of society represent unprecedented obstacles for the next pontiff. There is also a worrying increase in persecution against Christians in various parts of the world, something that prophecies indicate as one of the signs of the end times. If the Pope who comes after Francis is indeed the last, it means that the Church will face its greatest trial. Besides the prophecy of Saint Malachi, other predictions and ancient writings suggest that the final period of the papacy will be marked by impactful revelations. Some believe that secrets kept by the Vatican, perhaps even information hidden within the Vatican's secret archives, might come to light. Could there be ancient knowledge that the Church has kept reserved for a specific moment in history? The questions are piling up, but one thing seems certain. We are witnessing a transition that could completely change the course of Catholicism. If Francis is truly the penultimate pope, as many believe, then his departure could mark the beginning of a crucial prophetic chapter for humanity. Now the question that remains is, will we be prepared for the events to come? If these prophecies are correct, we are about to witness one of the most significant moments in the history of the Catholic Church. The possible transition after Francis may not just be a change of leadership, but rather an event that will trigger profound changes in the structure of the Christian faith. What will happen when the last prophesied pope takes his position? Will it be a time of renewal or a period of tribulation, as the ancient seers predicted? The predictions of Saint Bridget are joined by other mystical visions, such as the messages of Our Lady of La Salette and Fatima, which warned of times of great trial within the Church. In La Salette, the Marian apparition spoke of a time when Rome would lose the faith and become the seat of the Antichrist. These words, spoken centuries ago, have never seemed so unsettling as now, when we see a divided world, a Church facing internal and external challenges, and a pope increasingly weakened in the face of these challenges. Throughout history, whenever the Church has faced great crises, figures destined to guide the faithful through the darkness have emerged. What sets this moment apart from others is the convergence of signs, events, and prophecies that seem to indicate we are in a decisive phase of history. The physical fragility of the Pope may be just the tip of the iceberg of something much greater, a harbinger of the collapse of an era that has stood for 2 millennia. If the succession of Francis marks the fulfillment of these prophecies, what comes next? Will we be entering a time of great revelation, or will we witness an unexpected transformation within the Church? While the eyes of the world watch silently, Those who know the prophecies understand that every detail could be part of a grand design. If Francis' time is truly coming to an end, what follows could be a watershed moment in the history of Christianity. The papal succession has always been a moment of transition, but this time, the circumstances indicate that this change will not be like the previous ones. The Catholic Church, one of the oldest and most resilient institutions in the world, may be about to face an unprecedented period of crisis. In the corridors of the Vatican, cardinals are already debating the profile of who will be the next successor. But what few know is that within these debates there is a growing tension, as there are two distinct visions for the future of the Church. On one side, there are those who wish to continue with Francis's progressive vision, carrying forward his reforms and his approach of inclusion and dialogue with other religions and cultures. These cardinals believe that the modernization of the Church is essential for its survival, and that a new leader should deepen the changes initiated by the current pope. On the other hand, there is a conservative faction that sees this openness as a threat to the traditional identity of the Catholic faith. For them, the Church needs a strong pope who will restore ancient values, reaffirm doctrine, and combat external influences that, according to them, are corroding the essence of Christianity. This clash is not just ideological. What is at stake is the very spiritual direction of the Church. A more progressive leader could lead the institution down a path of irreversible transformation, while a conservative pope could provoke an internal schism, as many faithful have already become accustomed to the changes promoted in recent years. But beyond this internal dispute, there is another issue that few dare to discuss publicly. According to the prophecies of Saint Malachi, the one who comes after Francis will be Peter, the Roman, the last pope before the end of the Church as we know it. If this prediction is true, does it mean we are approaching the last chapter of this millennia-old institution? Some prophetic visions suggest that the last pope will be the one who witnesses catastrophic events within the Church and in the world. Among these predictions, some indicate that Rome will face an unprecedented destruction, whether due to internal conflicts or an external disaster. The vision of Saint Malachi speaks of a time when the last pope will guide his flock through many tribulations, and in the end, the city of the 7 hills will be destroyed, and the terrible judge will judge his people. For many, this reference to the city of 7 hills points directly to Rome. Does this mean we are about to see a crisis within the very heart of the Vatican? If we observe the events of recent years, we will see that the Church has faced increasingly greater internal challenges, and its political and moral position has been questioned like never before. Moreover, there are rumors that within the Vatican there is already a contingency plan to deal with the possible resignation of Francis and to ensure that the transition occurs without disruptions. But if the next pope is truly the one described in the prophecy, his mission will not be just to govern the Church, but to prepare it for the end of an era. The next few months could be crucial. The pope's health may deteriorate further, forcing an imminent decision. At the same time, internal conflicts among the cardinals may intensify, paving the way for a difficult choice about who will lead the Church in the future. But the most concerning thing is the global events that seem to be aligning with these prophecies. The world is in constant instability, with wars and economic crises intensifying. Traditional morality is in decline, and Christian faith is facing increasing resistance. All of this fits into the biblical predictions about the last days. The big question remains: if Francis is truly the penultimate pope, what does that mean for the fate of the Catholic Church and the future of humanity? Will we be facing a renewal or the greatest spiritual crisis in modern history? What is happening now could be one of the most critical moments in the history of the Catholic Church. Pope Francis, with his weakened health and increasingly central role in this prophetic scenario, is not only facing physical challenges, but also leading the Church through a period of uncertainty and transition. The questions that arise are inevitable. If he can no longer continue, who will take his place? And more importantly, what will be the impact of this on the future of the Vatican and on millions of faithful around the world. If the ancient prophecies truly point to this moment as a milestone in the history of the Christian faith, we are facing something much greater than a mere change of leadership. The Vatican may be silently preparing for a new era, but will this transition occur peacefully? Or are we on the brink of a period of great turmoil within the Church? The truth is that the papal succession has never been just an internal decision. It involves political, theological, and for many spiritual issues. The whole world is closely watching every step of the Vatican, trying to understand what is really to come. The end of a cycle? The fulfillment of a prophecy? Or just another page in the history of the Church? Now we want to know your opinion. Do you believe we are about to witness the fulfillment of ancient predictions? Or is it all just coincidence? Does Pope Francis represent the end of an era? Leave your comment below and share this video so that more people can reflect on this mystery. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. What is to come could change everything, and we will be here to follow every step of this story.